Okay. So this e-commerce operator provisions we have discussed so far, and we have a connection to this, that is TDS and TCS. Kindly look into TCS, which is in page number 151. Now we are going to discuss TDS and TCS. This TDS and TCS, in the TCS aspect, is connected to e-commerce operator. That's why we are discussing this. Then we will complete that one page which we have left in that chapter. So look into page number 151. There are two sections here, section 51 and 52 of CGST Act. Section 51 deals with TDS, section 52 deals with TCS. And when there will be TDS, tax deducted at source, concentrate, whenever I am making supply of goods or services to a notified recipient, that notified recipient will be deducting 2% as TDS and he will remit me the remaining amount. What is the objective behind this 2% deduction? For example, you are that notified recipient. I make a supply to you, and whenever you are deducting 10,000 rupees and remitting as TDS to government, then government will know what is my turnover. How? Simple. For 10,000 if it is 2%, for 100% it is how much? How much? You calculate 10,000 divided by 0.02. How much you got? 10,000 divided by 0.02, that is 2%, 0.02. How much you got? 5 lakhs. So 5 lakhs will be my turnover. If I report a turnover less than 5 lakhs, immediately a system notice will come to me. The system will automatically send a notice to me stating that, boss, your recipient has deducted 10,000 as TDS, which means your turnover should be 5 lakhs. Why are you reporting a lesser turnover? Like that, a notice will come. For this audit trial only, they have brought in this system of TDS. Is it clear or not? Again, I am repeating, whenever I am making supplies to notified recipient, either goods or services or both, that notified recipient will be deducting TDS at the rate of 2% and they will be remitting that 2% to government. Is it clear? Now see there. When applicable, first we will complete TDS fully and then we will see TCS, so that you will know the differences between that. First focus on TDS computation. When TDS is applicable as per section 51 whenever we are supplying to notified recipient. Who are those notified recipients? Government and its family members. That is government, government society, public sector undertaking, government body or authority where their investment is greater than or equals to 51%. So who are all the notified recipients? Government. Government means central government, state government, local authority. Number 2, government, society. This TDS, TCS, please concentrate. I don't know whether you have studied it properly or not. So listen. Government, society. Number 3, public sector undertaking. Number 4, government body or authority where equity participation is greater than or equals to 51%. And now they added one more point. I am a registered person. I am making supply of metal scrap to another registered person. Then it will be covered under TDS. That newly they have added now. A registered person receiving metal scrap from another registered person. Previously only 4 points were there. Now 5th point they have added. I am a registered person supplying metal scrap. Metal scrap means what? Iron scrap, steel scrap, etc. to another registered person. That is also now covered under TDS. The recipient should deduct the TDS. Okay. So 5 recipients: central government, state government, local authority, government society, public sector undertakings, government body in which government has invested greater than or equals to 50%, 51%, then registered person making supply of metal scrap to another registered person. Who is liable to deduct and at what rate? Notified recipient will deduct. What is the rate at which they will deduct? 2%. And when TDS is not applicable, now concentrate. What is the reason or what is the objective behind this TDS? Just to find the turnover of the supplier. What if the supplier is an unregistered person? What's the point in knowing their turnover? So that's why TDS not applicable. So first one, supplier is unregistered. Or if the supply itself is exempted or non-taxable, what's the point in identifying the turnover of the supplier? So then also TDS is not applicable. Objective, if you remember, it will be easy for you to understand. That is, what is the objective of TDS? Mainly to catch the turnover of the supplier. So if the supplier is unregistered, or if the suppliers are exempted or non-taxable, or if the contract value does not exceed 2,50,000. So what does it mean? Contract value means the total value of supply under the contract does not exceed 2,50,000. Then also TDS is not applicable. What if the contract value exceeds 2,50,000? TDS is applicable. Remember, the total value of supply under the contract is what we need to see. Total value of supply under the contract means, say I enter into contract with Tamil Nadu state government to supply face masks over a year. In a year, I have to supply them 8 lakh face masks. Each face mask will be 50 paise. So what is the value of supply under the contract throughout the year? 8 lakhs into 50 paise, 4 lakhs. And first month, I am delivering only 1 lakh face masks. 1 lakh into 0.5, 50,000 rupees only bill. But TDS is applicable or TDS not applicable on this bill? Applicable. Applicable, because you should not see the invoice value, you should see the contract value. If the total contract value of the supply exceeds 2,50,000, then only TDS is applicable, otherwise TDS is not applicable. Then next, supplies between notified recipients also TDS is not applicable. What is supply between notified recipients means? That is between government and PSU, between PSU and government body, between PSU and government society, between them. If there is any supply, TDS is not applicable. However, if metal scrap is supplied between them, then TDS is applicable. You understood or not? This is also another amendment. Supplies between notified recipients other than supply of metal scrap. If there is any metal scrap is supplied between the notified recipients, definitely TDS will be applicable in that case. And number 5, recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. So recipient, because liability is not on supplier, liability is on whom? Recipient. Objective of TDS is what? To find the supplier turnover. When recipient is paying GST, why we need to catch the supplier? For that reason, TDS is not applicable when the recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. Location of recipient and place of supply not in the same state means it is an intrastate supply, but the recipient is in the other state, then TDS is not applicable. TDS not applicable if it is an intrastate supply and recipient is in another state. Let's try to understand why TDS is not applicable in that case. For example, government of Andhra Pradesh, government of Andhra Pradesh is having a building in Tamil Nadu. They are having a building in Tamil Nadu. Can they have a building in Tamil Nadu? Yes, why not? They can have. Any person can own building anywhere. Government also can own. Now there is a architect. Now there is an architect. Where is this architect located? Tamil Nadu only. This architect is providing services to government of Tamil Nadu. Government of Tamil Nadu is the government of Andhra Pradesh is the recipient. Okay. Now, when architect is providing services to government of Andhra Pradesh, for these services, what is the place of supply? The place of supply is the location of building. What is the location of building? That is Tamil Nadu. Again I am repeating, carefully listen. There is an architect. Where is that architect located? Tamil Nadu. And providing services to government of Andhra Pradesh in relation to their building in Tamil Nadu. For these services, what is the place of supply? Location of building, that is Tamil Nadu. Now, what is the nature of supply? What is the nature of supply? The nature of supply is intrastate supply. Intrastate supply means CGST plus SGST, correct? CGST plus SGST. Which SGST? Tamil Nadu SGST. How Tamil Nadu SGST? Because the architect is in Tamil Nadu. Are architect supply Tamil Nadu, place of supply also Tamil Nadu. Therefore, it is an intra-state supply chargeable to CGST and Tamil Nadu SGST. But where is the recipient located? Andhra Pradesh. They can deduct 1%. 2% is the rate. If it is intrastate, 1% CGST, 1% SGST, they can deduct 1% towards CGST, but they cannot deduct 1% towards Tamil Nadu SGST. Why they cannot deduct 1% towards Tamil Nadu SGST? Because where are they registered? They are registered in Andhra Pradesh. You understood or not? Why? Because see, I am in Andhra Pradesh. If I need to remit as SGST of Tamil Nadu, then I should register there, and you cannot make government to register there. Is it clear or not? That's the reason why they are telling TDS itself is not applicable. Why TDS itself is not applicable? Tamil Nadu, they have to pay GST, but they are located in Andhra Pradesh. How can they pay GST to Tamil Nadu? They cannot pay. That's why TDS itself is not applicable. So tell me, what is the transaction? Intra, correct? Intra. But where is the recipient? Recipient is located in the other state. So that is this point. Whenever the recipient is in the other state, then TDS is not applicable. Now total 6 transactions. Again I am repeating the 6 transactions. Carefully listen. When TDS is not applicable, if the supplier is unregistered, if the supplies are exempted or non-taxable. Number 3, if the contract value of supply does not exceed 2,50,000. Number 4, between the notified recipients other than supply of metal scrap. Then if the recipient is liable to pay GST under RCM. Our last point, if it is a intra-state supply, but the recipient is located in the another state, then also TDS not applicable. That is this. And see these important points. TDS is computed on amount remitted by the supplier, by the recipient to the supplier, not on the invoice value. I raised an invoice for 1,50,000. Carefully listen. I raised an invoice for 1,50,000, but you are not remitting 1,50,000 to me. You will remit only 1,20,000. Why 1,20,000? Say 30,000. There is a retention money concept. Retention money means government will retain some money out of the contract price and they will not release full amount. So because maybe in future, if the work of mine is not good, they should be able to rectify that work and they need to spend. Why will they spend out of their pocket? That's why they will retain that 20%, say 30,000, and they will release to me at a later point of time. So right now to government I raised the invoice for 1,50,000 plus GST. How much they are remitting me? 1,20,000 plus applicable GST on 1,20,000. Now TDS is computed by government on 1,50,000, 1,20,000, 1,20,000, not on 1,50,000. First of all, for application of TDS, we need to check the contract value. If the total contract value exceeds 2,50,000 only, TDS will be applicable. So TDS is computed on amount remitted to supplier by recipient. And this just now we discussed when TDS is not applicable. Now look into the next page. Computation and compliance. TDS is computed on what? Value including GST or excluding GST? Excluding GST. Excluding GST. So see the total amount that they have remitted. In that amount they have remitted, take out the GST. On the remaining portion only TDS will be computed. And whatever TDS that is deducted by the notified recipient, they have to remit it to government. What is the time limit by which they need to remit it to government? 10th of the month following every month. For example, July month they deducted TDS. They need to remit it by 10th of August. And also they need to file a return, that is GSTR7. GSTR7 is a return to be filed by e-commerce operator, that is TDS deductor, GSTR7. That GSTR7 also to be filed by 10th of the month following every month. And they need to give a certificate that we have deducted the TDS like that, but no time limit for that certificate. That certificate is in GSTR 7A. 3 compliances. Compliance number 1, they need to deduct TDS and pay it by 10th of the month following every month. Plus at the time of remitting TDS, they should also file GSTR 7. Compliance number 2, Compliance number 3, they should give a certificate, TDS certificate in GSTR 7A, no time limit for that. Then, suppose if there is a delay in filing GSTR 7, means there is a delay in payment of TDS also to government, because at the time of filing GSTR 7 only they will pay TDS also, who the government department or PSU etc., that notified recipient. If there is a delay in filing TDS return, then there is a delay in payment of TDS. So 2 points will come. Number 1, as there is a delay in payment of TDS, they need to pay interest. What is the rate of interest? 18% per annum. In GST, rate of interest is always 18% per annum from the first day after due date, from the due date till the actual date. For example, January month, what is the due date? 10th of February. They made the payment or filed a return on 28th February. So how many days delay? 18 days delay. For 18 days they need to pay interest. How much ever is the TDS? Into 18% into 18 divided by 365. That will be the interest. Plus late fee also they need to pay. Why late fee? Interest is for delay in payment of tax, whereas late fee is for delay in filing returns. How much is the late fee? 25 rupees per day. 25 rupees per day, subject to maximum 1000 rupees under each act, that is CGST Act, SGST Act, that is the late fee. You can see there the late fee for delay in filing return, 25 rupees for each day of delay, subject to maximum 1000. In our example, how many days delay? 18 days delay. 18 into 25. What is 18 into 25? 450. Maximum is 1000. So 450 rupees under CGST and 450 rupees under SGST will be taken as the late fee for delay in filing return. This is under each act. Whether TDS deductor is required to file any annual return? No. Annual return not required to be filed, and the interest will be 18% per annum payable for the period of delay in payment of TDS TCS, and any contravention. So as they have not deducted the TDS or deducted but not properly remitted or deducted but remitted less, like that, if they default in TDS, the penalty will be up to 25,000 rupees under CGST and up to 25,000 under SGST. Even this penalty, if you are not remembering, it's okay. This is for your information, not for exam. Not for exam. But what you need to remember is this late fee and this interest provision you need to remember. Now, whatever TDS, TCS that is deducted by the recipient, TDS deducted by the recipient will be reflected to the supplier in their GSTR 2A. Okay, TDS deducted by the recipient. You are recipient, you will deduct TDS and you will remit it to the government. It will come in my return. Okay, which return? GSTR 2A. In GSTR 2A, when you see, so say this. So GSTR 2A will look like this. In GST returns, GSTR 2A, there is a area called as TDS TCS credits, part C. In the TDS TCS credits, once we click on TCS credits or TDS credits, we will be able to see how much is the TDS that they have deducted, who is the deductor, how much they have deducted, everything we will be able to see that. So that is this information, and what we can do with that, like income tax, it will come in form 26AS. We can use it as a credit against payment of our income tax liability. Same ditto. Whatever TDS that is deducted by recipient will be coming into our 2A, and at the time when I pay liability as a supplier, at the time this TDS can be deducted. So remaining amount I will pay to government. Okay, net amount, that is this. So TDS TCS deducted shall be reflected in 2A of supplier, which is reflected in cash ledger and can be used for payment of GST liability. Suppose if I want to use it for payment of interest, penalty, etc. and all also, I can use this TDS TCS deducted. That is with respect to this TDS. These are the points related to TDS. Now go back. We will see TCS. We will see TCS. TDS refers to tax deducted at source. TCS refers to tax collected at source. Section 51 is TDS. Section 52 is TCS. When TCS will be applicable? Whenever I am making supplies through e-commerce operator. The e-commerce operator will deduct the TCS. Income tax TCS and GST TCS is completely different. It is not the same. In income tax TCS, supplier only will collect the TCS from the recipient. But here it is not like that. Whenever we make supply through e-commerce operator will deduct the TCS like a TDS only. He will deduct the TCS and he will remit it to the government. Got it? So, supplies through e-commerce operator. And when it will be called as supplies through e-commerce operator, supplier should be different from e-commerce operator. Means, for example, if I am a supplier and I have my own app, through my own app, if I am providing services, will it be called as supplies through e-commerce operator? Example, IRCTC provides the ticket booking through IRCTC app. Is it supplied through e-commerce operator? No. If they provide ticket booking through Ixigo app, then it will be coming under supply through e-commerce operator. Same way, SCTC or government, state government transport department, if they have their own app through which they allow passengers to book the tickets, then it is not supplied through e-commerce operator. If they allow the passengers to book the tickets through this Redbus app, then it will be coming under supply through e-commerce operator. Reliance Trends selling its garments through Ajio app, that is not supplied through e-commerce operator. If they sell garments through Myntra, then it will be called as supply through e-commerce operator. So, supplier should be different from e-commerce operator. And such e-commerce operator should not be mere agent. Example, payment gateways. Payment gateways like Razorpay, Paytm, PhonePe, these are not called as e-commerce operators because they are just the payment agents. They will collect money and remit the money. Also, logistics operators like courier agencies, delivery, then express bees and Shiprocket, like that lot of professional couriers. These are all the people who are involved in this delivery process. Again, they are not e-commerce operators because they do only delivery job. Okay, say this. So, such e-commerce operators should not be an agent, that is payment gateway or logistics operators. Now, we understand who will deduct TCS. E-commerce operator will deduct TCS. What is the rate at which TCS will be deducted? Again, there is an amendment in this place. The rate is 0.5%. Previously, the rate was 1%. Now they reduced it to 0.5% as the rate of TCS. And 0.5% means in case of intrastate supply, 0.25% CGST, 0.25% SGST. If it is interstate sale, 0.5% IGST. When it is not applicable, first point same as TDS. So TDS rate is what? 2%. TCS rate is 0.5%. Non-applicability. Again, sir, what is the objective of TCS? Carefully listen, carefully listen. The same objective what we learnt in TDS is the objective of TCS also. Whenever this 0.5% is remitted by e-commerce operator to government, the government will know what is the turnover of the supplier. For example, you are an e-commerce operator, I am a supplier making supply through your platform to the customer. Now you remitted 500 rupees towards 0.5%. Then what will be my turnover will be recomputed by the government. So 500 divided by 0.5%. 0.5% means what? 0.005, correct? 0.005. You see that. What is 0.005? 500 divided by 0.005. 1 lakh will be my turnover. If I report a turnover less than 1 lakh, immediately a system notice will come. That is, GST portal will send me a notice stating that you have misreported the turnover like that. Okay. For that reason only they brought in this TCS. Again, the objective is what? To find the turnover of the supplier. What if the supplier is unregistered? Should they find the supplier turnover? No. So TCS is not applicable. See the first point in non-applicability of TCS, supplier is unregistered. Same point we have for TDS also, supplier is unregistered. Second point, what if the supply itself is exempted or non-taxable? We don't have to bother about the supplier na. So again, TCS is not applicable if the supplies are exempted or non-taxable. So this point also common between TDS and TCS. Then third point you see in TCS, that is notified service under 9.5. What are those notified service under 9.5? Just now we completed HATE. For these 4 notified service, who will pay GST? E-commerce operator only will pay GST, not by the supplier. So no need to deduct TCS because we don't have to bother about supplier. Is it clear? So which means 9 subsection 5 and this section 52 TCS is mutually exclusive. So whenever TCS is coming, 9.5 will not come. Whenever 9.5 comes, TCS under section 52 will not come. Then next, payment not collected by e-commerce operator. Suppose if the supplier already collected the money directly from the customer, then e-commerce operator will not deduct TCS out of his pocket. Is it clear? Whatever money e-commerce operator collected from the customer, out of that they will pay 0.5% and remit the amount to the supplier. Due to that reason, if the payment is not collected by e-commerce operator, but actually 99% of the cases payment is collected by e-commerce operator only. But I am telling you, if the payment is not collected by e-commerce operator, TCS not applicable. So just 5 non-applicabilities. What are they? Sorry, 4 non-applicabilities. Number 1, if the supplier is unregistered, if the supplies are exempted or non-taxable, if the supplies are notified under 9 subsection 5, or the payment is not collected by e-commerce operator. Then this TCS is computed on what? On the value. On the value, whatever value, including GST or excluding GST, definitely excluding GST, minus sales returns in a month, because usually in e-commerce transactions, sales returns is something which will easily happen. So if you see Myntra and all, lot of people will order garments from Myntra. They will wear, they will do the photo shoot and they will post it in Instagram, and thereafter they will return that garments, okay? They will return that garment stating that fit issue is there, etc., and all. And again, they will buy, they will wear garments and they will post in Instagram. Because if you see their Instagram account, your lot of dress they are having, etc., like that. No, they are beggars only. So what they do is that they will buy once, thereafter rotation, it is like. And now it went to an extent where they are wearing it to the parties, hiding the sticker, etc. and all. They are wearing it to the parties also. And whether the person who is returning, taking it, will he smell and see whether it is used or not used. You understood? So he will just take the return. So returns is something which is usually happening. So we need to see sales made in a month minus sales returns in a month. That difference should be taken as the value for computation of TCS. Payment towards contract value minus returns during a particular month. And TCS deducted. Time limit is what? TCS remittance, same as TDS. TDS time limit is what? 10th of the month following every month. TCS also 10th of the month following every month. What is the return for TDS? GSTR 7. What is the return for TCS? GSTR 8. Time limit for GSTR 7 and GSTR 8. Same. 10th of the month following every month. Okay. And in case of TDS, they have to give a certificate. Like that, is there a certificate in TCS? No. No such requirement. And if there is a delay in filing TCS return, GSTR 8, will there be an interest? Yes. Just like TDS, whatever we discussed, same interest. 18% per annum payable for the delay in payment of TDS as well as TCS. But late fee, there is a difference. See the late fee. How much is the late fee for delay in filing GSTR 8? GSTR 7 late fee is what? 25 rupees per day, subject to maximum 1000 rupees under each act. But here you see 100 rupees per day, subject to maximum 5000 under each act. Why such a disparity, sir? GSTR 7, who is required to file? Government. Majorly government. GSTR 8, who is required to file? E-commerce operator, private person. How government you can ask them to pay more late fee and all. That's why small late fee, 25 rupees per day, subject to maximum 1000. E-commerce operator, private people only, let them pay, let them pay. 100 rupees per day, subject to maximum 5000. For example, same question we will take. January month TCS to be filed by 10th of February. If there is a delay by 20th, means 18 days delay. For 18 days delay, how much is the late fee? 18 into 100. 18 into 100, that will be 1800, but the maximum will be 5000. So 1800 CGST, 1800 is GST. And whether TDS deductor is required to file any annual return? No. But TCS deductor is required to file an annual return in GSTR 9B. By when they need to file that? By 31st December of the succeeding financial year. All annual return time limit is same. 31st December of succeeding financial year they need to file the annual returns. And next, same concept, TDS TCS deducted shall be reflected in 2A, which can be adjusted against the payment of liability, same. And TCS return can be rectified, but TDS return cannot be rectified. GSTR 7 cannot be rectified, but GSTR 8 can be rectified. You can see there, time limit for rectification of GSTR 8. So can GSTR 7 be rectified? No, that cannot be rectified. What is the time limit for rectification of GSTR 8? 30th November of succeeding financial year or date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. In 5 cases, the time limit will be same year. What are those 5 cases? Number 1, time limit for availment of ITC, for taking the credit. Time limit for issuance of credit note. Okay. Then time limit for rectification of GSTR 1, rectification of GSTR 3B and rectification of GSTR 8. All these 5 cases, the time limit is same. What is that? 30th November of succeeding financial year or date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. So in this you write down one point. So time limit for rectification is there now. There you write down on the side here. GSTR 7 cannot be rectified. 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 Then, so similar time limits. What is it? Similar time limits. You written this? Similar time limits. Okay. Below this write down note. Below this write down note. Same time limit for. Same time limit for what? Same time limit for what? Availment of ITC. Same time limit for availment of ITC. Then credit note, comma, rectification of GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Same time limit for availment of ITC, credit note, rectification of GSTR 1 and rectification of GSTR 3B. Rectification of GSTR 1 and rectification of GSTR 3B. Same time limit. Okay. Same time limit. In 5 places. What are the 5 places? Availment of ITC, credit note, rectification of GSTR 1, rectification of GSTR 3B and rectification of GSTR 8. Now look into the next page for illustration on TCS. So how TCS will work? You see this. First, Xiaomi is a supplier and it will list its mobile for sale through e-commerce operator Amazon. Xiaomi is listing their mobile for sale through e-commerce operator Amazon, for which Xiaomi will pay 1000 rupees plus GST to Amazon. Can you see the first point? Supplier Xiaomi enter into contract with Amazon to sell the mobile with a commission of 1000 rupees plus GST. For every mobile sold by e-commerce operator, what is that they get? 1000 rupees as commission. Means on the mobile who will pay GST? Supplier only will pay GST. Why? I told you, only for 4 notified services through e-commerce operator will pay. But all other cases who will pay GST? Supplier only will pay GST on the mobile. Next, step number 2. Step number 1 you all understood. Step number 2, e-commerce operator will get an order from the buyer, so for the mobile, and e-commerce operator will inform the supplier. Supplier will pack the mobile, will make the bill and will deliver it to Amazon. Mobile with an invoice for 10,000 plus 28% GST. So 12,800. They raise the invoice to Amazon. Now what Amazon is doing, they will deliver the mobile to the buyer and the buyer will pay 12,800. Up to this you understood? Now, whether TCS is applicable. Point number 1, supplier is registered. Point number 2, payment is collected by e-commerce operator and it is not notified under 9 subsection 5 and it is not exempted or non-taxable, it is taxable. So TCS will definitely be applicable. What is the rate of TCS? 0.5%. 0.5% of what? 10,000 or 12,800? 10,000 excluding GST. So e-commerce operator will pay TCS 10,000 into 0.5% 50 plus GST on commission. What is the commission that they get? 1,000. On the 1,000, 18% will be 180. 180 rupees they will pay GST on the commission. Understood up to this? Point number 7, clear? Now you are the e-commerce operator. You are remitting the money to the supplier. How much money you will remit? First, how much you got from the customer? You are Amazon here. How much you got from the customer? 12,800. From the 12,800, what you will deduct first? Commission. What is your commission? So minus 1,000. Got it? And on that 1,000, you have to pay GST also na. So that also you will deduct minus 180. Correct? So take your calculator. 12,800 minus commission. How much is the commission? 1,000. So minus 1,000 minus GST on commission, that is 180, and minus TCS. How much is the TCS? 50 rupees. What is left with you? 11,570 you will remit to the supplier. Is it clear here? Now what supplier will do? He need to pay GST on this mobile. On this mobile, GST is payable by supplier only. E-commerce operator will pay GST only on commission, but on mobile, supplier should pay GST. How much is the GST on mobile? 2,800. So 2,800 is the supplier gross liability and supplier will get 2 credits. 2 credits. Credit number 1. So Amazon has paid GST on commission na. Carefully listen. Amazon paid GST on commission, means Amazon will raise invoice to supplier for this commission. Correct or not? Amazon get 1,000 rupees pa. On that 1,000 rupees they pay GST. So they raise invoice to supplier, which means for supplier it is a inward supply. Amazon providing the services is a inward supply to Xiaomi and they can take ITC of this 180 rupees plus whatever TCS deducted by Amazon also can be taken as credit by the supplier, which means 2 credit supplier will get. This GST 180 as input tax credit and this TCS credit of 50. So you can see here ITC on commission 180 and TCS credit 50. So this amount they will reduce from the gross liability. So 2,570 is the net liability. Is it clear? So that is with respect to this working. Now any question can be asked in exam. Sometimes they may ask how much is the TCS. Sometimes they ask how much is the total liability of e-commerce operator, means GST on commission and TCS. Sometimes they will ask how much is the liability of supplier. You be careful, any segment can be asked in exam in this, okay. So you be careful with respect to how the entire system works. Accordingly read the question and you need to arrive at the answer. Got it? Now look into the next page. What if there are multiple e-commerce operator? Which e-commerce operator will deduct the TCS? If there are multiple e-commerce operators in a transaction, which e-commerce operator will deduct the TCS? Why will there be multiple e-commerce operators? Have a look into that example. There are 4 sellers, A, B, C and D. These sellers are small sellers. They wanted to sell through Amazon, but the problem is that not able to sell due to the reason that Amazon puts a number of conditions. You should be in this business for at least 5 years and you should have made this much of turnover and you should have met the quality standards, like that a number of conditions they will put. And I am starting my business now. How can I list it through Amazon? so not possible. So I will list it in Meesho. Meesho is a newly entered e-commerce operator, so no problem, they will allow. They don't have that much of conditions, so they will allow. I listed through Meesho. A, B, C, D listed their products through Meesho. But the problem is that Meesho is not something which is so popular, and very less number of people are only using Meesho. So in this classroom, how many of you have Meesho app? See, this is the percentage, you understood. But Amazon, Flipkart is something which is so popular, hardly 10% of the population to 15% of the population is only using Meesho. Then how they will be able to cater? They will list it in Amazon. You understood? Meesho will list the products in Amazon. Amazon will agree Meesho. Why? Because Meesho is a company and they have into business for many years and they have comply with all the conditions, whatever Amazon asked. So Amazon will in turn list these products, like Meesho will list these products in turn with Amazon and will tell, okay, I am collecting 25% commission. In that 25% commission, I will give you 15% commission. Then Meesho gets how much? 10%, and Amazon gets how much? 15%. Is it clear? Now, a buyer XYZ will buy from Amazon, but actually the product will be delivered from Meesho. Many times it happened to me that I place order in Amazon, but the product will be delivered by Meesho, or the product will be delivered by Snapdeal, like that, and all some e-commerce operators are there. Many times from Nykaa also I got product delivered to my home. I did not understand from where I ordered all these things, but it was delivered by Amazon, but the product was supplied by some other e-commerce operator. Is it clear? So usually this happens like this. Now, coming back to this discussion, what happens here is that the buyer will make payment to e-commerce operator 2, that is Amazon. Amazon will cut 15% their commission and they will remit the remaining amount to e-commerce operator 1, Meesho. Will they deduct any TCS? No, no, no. Only seller side e-commerce operator will deduct the TCS. Who is the seller side e-commerce operator? Meesho. So they will cut their commission of 25%, not that 15 plus 25. 25 in total means extra how much they will cut? 10%, okay, and they will remit the payment minus TCS minus commission and GST on commission. Is it clear? Now one point you need to remember from this discussion, which e-commerce operator will deduct TCS? Which e-commerce operator? When there are multiple e-commerce operator, seller side e-commerce operator will deduct TCS. You can see here. Such e-commerce operator who finally releases the payment to supplier is liable to deduct TCS. That is which side e-commerce operator? Supplier side e-commerce operator. What if supplier and supplier side e-commerce operator is same person? For example, Reliance Trends, Ajio, and Ajio is listing with Myntra. You got it? Reliance Trends pa, Ajio pa. Ajio is one app of Reliance and they are listing through Myntra and they are selling it to the buyers. Now seller and seller side e-commerce operator is same, correct? Then literally only one e-commerce operator is there. Who is that e-commerce operator? That is buyer side e-commerce operator Myntra, correct? So they will only deduct TCS, see there. However, if the supplier and supplier side e-commerce operator is same person, then the recipient side e-commerce operator will deduct the TCS. And each e-commerce operator involved is required to pay GST on the commission, whatever commission that they are earning. Understood? Mark this as very important. Definitely they can ask this question. Then see the next one. Whether filing of nil GSTR rate is mandatory. What is GSTR rate? TCS return. So even if there is no transaction, should we file nil return? No, not required. If there is no transaction in a particular month, no need to file GSTR 8. Now listen, one more important point. Supply is made in October month. I am a supplier, you are e-commerce operator. I make supply through your platform. In October month. Means I will raise the invoice in October month. But you collected the payment in November month. Means you deliver the product in November. For example, I gave you the product on October 30th. You delivered the product to the customer on November 2nd. Possible na? Now, you collected money on November 2nd, but you should not remit it as TCS for November month. You should remit it as TCS for October month. Why like that? If you remit it for TCS as November month, carefully listen, yeah, please listen. If you remit it as TCS for November month, there will be a mismatch. How there will be a mismatch? I reported it as turnover of October, but you will deduct it as TCS of November, and they will say, in November you have not reported turnover, like that I will get a notice. Why I will get a notice? Yeah, I reported it for October. You deducted the TCS for November. Now, whenever you deduct the TCS, they will do recalculation. Whatever TCS you deducted divided by 0.5%. They will see the turnover. But supplier has not reported the turnover in November, so they will send a notice to me. Now, I have to reply the notice that already I paid it for October. To avoid this kind of dispute, what they are telling is that let e-commerce operator file this as TCS for October itself, so that it will match with the returns of the supplier. Is it clear or not? Read it again. Supply made in October month, invoice is raised, but the payment collected by e-commerce operator in November month, TCS to be remitted for which month? October month. Net value of taxable supplies made during a tax period. That is the wording used. Net value of taxable supplies made during a period, not payment received during the period, made during the period. And balance in credit ledger cannot be used for payment of TCS. Of course, because TCS, whatever deducted by e-commerce operator should always be paid in cash. Credit ledger cannot be used. Then, which means TCS deductor will have two GSTINs. Means in this example, Amazon will have two GST registrations. One as a normal GST registration for payment of this GST. Another is GST registration as a TCS deductor for deducting this TCS, which means every e-commerce operator will have two registrations. Okay, one for what? One for payment of regular GST liability, another for payment of TCS. So that's why when they log in into that registration for payment of TCS, electronic credit ledger and all will not be there. When they log in into their normal registration, electronic credit ledger will be there for payment of liability through input tax credit. Is it clear? What is electronic credit ledger? What is electronic credit ledger? ITC. Your input tax credit will be available in that electronic credit ledger. Now look into e-commerce. What is the meaning of e-commerce? E-commerce means supply of goods or services or goods and services, including digital products, over digital network or electronic network is known as e-commerce. Maybe for definition they can ask, what is e-commerce? Goods, services, both goods and services, including digital products. Digital products means what? Video lectures. Video lecture is a digital product. Video lectures or movies, etc. through digital network or e-commerce electronic network. Who is a e-commerce operator? Any person who owns, operates or manages digital or electronic facility or platform for e-commerce is known as e-commerce operator. Is it clear? Means the one who owns or one who manages this particular digital network or electronic facility is known as e-commerce operator. Then look into the next page, tax implications on ECO. Yes sir. For example, it is, this is not October, November only. For example, you replace it with January, February also. You replace it with December and January also. Okay. What I mean to say is that supplies are made in this month, means invoice is this month, but e-commerce operator collected the payment in the next month. Then in that case, e-commerce operator should not deduct TCS in the month in which he collected money, but e-commerce operator should deduct the TCS based on the invoice month, Then see the next page. What are the tax implications on e-commerce operator? We have three popular e-commerce models: online marketplace model, direct sales model, inventory led model. Maybe they can ask a theory question. What are the various e-commerce models like that? You need to write this. What is online marketplace model means? Product will be listed, inventory not maintained, product will be listed, inventory not maintained. Whenever they get an order, they will inform the supplier and the supplier has to deliver the product to e-commerce operator. This is online marketplace model, and it is a very simple model for the e-commerce operator because they don't have to maintain any warehouse, inventory, etc. and all. Okay, that is this. Amazon, Flipkart will do this. And inventory led model, opposite of this. Inventory led model, quick commerce companies, Zepto and Blinkit, what they do is that they will not inform the supplier, they will only maintain the inventory. As soon as the order is received, immediately they need to deliver the product. So due to that reason, they will only maintain the inventory. That is inventory led model. Direct sales model. Direct sales model means there is no third party e-commerce operator. I will sell my products through my own app or own website. That is called as direct sales model. Is it clear? Next, supply of goods or services through e-commerce operator is divided into three. Supply of goods through e-commerce operator. Supply of goods through e-commerce operator. Example, Amazon. Second, supply of notified services through e-commerce operator. What are those notified services? Housekeeping, accommodation, transportation and eating food in restaurant. Example, Swiggy. Then supply of other services through e-commerce operator. Example, Book My Show. What it's? Other services not covered in HATE. Now, in the first case, who will pay GST on the transaction? In the first case, who will pay GST on the transaction? Supplier. In the second case, who will pay GST on the transaction? E-commerce operator. Very good. In the third case, who will pay GST on the transaction? Supplier. Understood? So, first case GST on supplier, second case e-commerce operator, third case supplier. Now concentrate. In the first case GST payable by supplier, then what e-commerce operator will do? Pay GST on plus TCS. Very good. Then second case e-commerce operator will pay GST on transaction. So whether any GST payable on commission and TCS? No. Third case, GST payable by supplier. So e-commerce operator will pay GST on commission and other charges, and TCS also will be applicable. Is it clear? Next, when a person is supplying their goods or services through their own platform, that is direct sales model, it is not called as supplies through e-commerce operator, it is normal supplies. Also agents like Paytm, PhonePe, OLX, etc. are not called as e-commerce operators, for your information. Now look into the next page. Registration requirement in case of e-commerce transaction. These are all extra points which can definitely be tested in the exams, okay, because every attempt, if you see, they are asking one 4 marks question on TDS TCS, okay. So that's why I gave you all the informations whatever is there. Registration requirement in case of e-commerce transaction. Remember, every e-commerce operator is compulsorily required to get registered irrespective of threshold limit. And which e-commerce operator? Two e-commerce operators we discussed. One e-commerce operator who is liable to pay GST under 9.5, that HATE. Another e-commerce operator who is required to deduct TCS. These two e-commerce operators compulsorily required to get registered. Then I am selling goods through e-commerce operator. Please concentrate. I am selling goods through e-commerce operator. Compulsorily I need to register. Okay. However, for example, if I want to sell through Amazon, Flipkart, etc., compulsorily I need to register. However, if I am making only intra-state supplies within the state, then I don't have to register. Without registration also I can supply goods through e-commerce operator. So if I am making supply of goods through e-commerce operator, I am making only intra-state supplies, not through e-commerce operator in more than one state, means directly also I am not making interstate supplies, and through e-commerce operator also I am not making interstate supplies, and I obtain a UEN. What is UEN? What is UEN? UEN refers to unique enrollment number, right there, unique enrollment number. UEN is unique enrollment number. Suppose when you are reading, if you don't know the full form of these terms and all, in the first page itself I have given the abbreviations. In that abbreviations itself I have included all these things, but I am just writing it for you for convenience sake. So in this case, whether the supplier is required to get registered or not required to get registered, not required to get registered. That's the reason why whenever in Flipkart or in case of this Meesho, etc., when you give your PIN code, they will tell this product cannot be shipped to your location. Like that it will say. Why? Because that supplier is unregistered. He is making only intrastate supplies. Due to that reason, you cannot buy it from them in the other state. You got it? So this following conditions should be satisfied. If you are making only intrastate, not through e-commerce operator in more than one state, and you obtain unique enrollment number, even without registration you can supply goods through e-commerce operator, but when you need to register, as and when aggregate turnover exceeds threshold limit. In other cases, suppose if you make interstate supplies and all, compulsory registration for supplier of goods. What about supplier of services through e-commerce operator? No compulsory registration. They need to register as and when aggregate turnover exceeds threshold limit. Then, what is the compliance to be followed by e-commerce operator in that case? If there is a supplier who is unregistered, and whose turnover does not exceed threshold limit, but obtain a unique enrollment number, is supplying goods through e-commerce operator. E-commerce operator should ensure that this supplier has obtained UEN, only then he is supplying through their platform. See, this is the compliance to be done by the first case. What we discussed is the compliance to be followed by supplier. This case what we are discussing is compliance to be followed by e-commerce operator. So e-commerce operator should ensure that he is, e-commerce operator should ensure that that unregistered person has obtained the UEN, then only they are making supply through their platform. Number two, should not permit the supplier to make interstate supplies. Is it clear? Means this supplier should not make interstate supplies. Why? If he makes interstate supply, he need to compulsorily register na. So that's why e-commerce operator should ensure that this supplier is not making interstate supplies, and e-commerce operator required to deduct TCS or not required to deduct TCS? Not required to deduct TCS. Why? Because we studied that if the supplier is unregistered, TCS is not applicable. And should the e-commerce operator declare these details in GSTR 8 or not required to declare? Declare. Definitely declare. Then only government will know that this supplier has crossed the threshold limit and he need to register. For that reason, should declare the details in GSTR 8. Whenever you get a question, so this is important for theory. When you get a question on what are the compliances to be followed by e-commerce operator with respect to unregistered supplier, 4 points you need to write. Number one, e-commerce operator should not allow the supplier to make supplies without obtaining unique enrollment number. E-commerce operator should not allow supplier to make interstate supplies. E-commerce operator should not deduct TCS. However, these details should be reported in GSTR 8. Then look into the next one. What are the compliances to be followed by a supplier if the to be followed by e-commerce operator if the supplier is opting for composition scheme? If the supplier is opting for composition scheme, then what are the compliances to be followed by e-commerce operator? Like that, another theory question they will ask. Be careful for this question, don't write this answer. Is it clear? So be careful. If they are asking what is the compliance to be followed by e-commerce operator if the supplier is unregistered, this answer you need to write. What is the compliance to be followed by e-commerce operator if the supplier is opting for composition scheme? Just 3 points. Point number one, should not permit this supplier to make interstate supplies. Why? If the person is opting for composition scheme, makes interstate supplies, he is disqualified from the composition scheme for that reason, and should deduct the TCS and should declare these details in GSTR 8. Why TCS is applicable? Because the supplier, even though under composition scheme, but they are registered na. Definitely a registered person only can go for composition scheme. That's why. So supplier is registered, so deduct TCS and declare the details in GSTR 8. These 3 points. Okay. Next, You may get an illustration like this on TCS, combining everything, all the points. So it's a very good question. It's a comprehensive question. You can say this. Don't see the answer, please. We will work out. Sapna Education Private Limited is receiving supplies through e-commerce limited, an e-commerce operator who has provided the following supplies during December 2020 through e-com limited. Number 1, supply of goods taxable at 12% by registered supplier, supply 5 lakhs, returns if any 50,000. Now, I want you to tell me, analyze and tell me who will pay GST on this transaction. Supplier, e-commerce operator. I hate this silence. Anyone answer. In this case, who will pay GST on the transaction? Supplier, e-commerce operator. Supplier. I heard e-commerce operator. Remember, only 4 notified services. 4 notified service only e-commerce operator will pay GST on the transaction. What are those 4 notified services? HATE. This is not services. This is goods. This is goods. So definitely e-commerce operator will not pay GST on the transaction. Who will pay GST on the transaction? Supplier. Then what is the liability on e-commerce operator? Whether they need to deduct TCS or not required to deduct TCS in this case. First, whether the supplier is registered? Yes. Whether the supplies are taxable? Yes. And payment is collected by e-commerce operator? Yes. Is it covered under 9.5? No. So therefore TCS will be applicable on 5 lakhs. Got it? But 5 lakhs, 5 lakhs minus 50,000. 5 lakh minus 50,000. Next, second point. Supply of goods taxable at nil rate by registered supplier. Whether TCS is applicable or not applicable in this case. Why not applicable? Because the supplies are exempted or nil rated. So TCS not applicable. Very good. Third point. Supply of housekeeping services by unregistered supplier. TCS is applicable or not applicable? Why not applicable? Because it is covered under 9.5. How you know it is covered under 9.5? Housekeeping services, if the supplier is unregistered, it's covered under 9.5. So TCS is not applicable. Then supply of other services by registered supplier. Whether TCS is applicable or not applicable? Applicable. Why? Because the supplier is registered and the supplies are taxable. Okay, and due to that reason it's not given as exempted. If it's not given as exempted means it will be taxable. Got it? Taxable. So TCS applicable. So TCS is applicable on what? 5 lakh minus 50,000 plus 1 lakh 50,000. How much? 6 lakhs. On 6 lakhs, what is the rate of TCS? 0.5%. That is the first question they have asked. Determine the amount of tax to be collected at source by Ecom Limited, that is 0.5%. 6 lakhs into 0.5%. The amount of TCS is 3,000. And second question. Determine the consequences if the said amount is paid and return is filed on 15/1/2021. This transaction is for which month? December month. What is the due date? 10th of January. But when are they paying? 15th of January. How many days delay? 5 days delay. For that 5 days, first they need to pay late fee. How much is the late fee? 25 rupees per day, 100 rupees per day? 100 rupees because it is TCS. 100 rupees into 5, that is 500 under CGST and 500 under SGST. What is the maximum late fee? 5,000. So, but they need to pay only 500 and 500. Plus, are they required to pay interest? Yes. What is the TCS? 3,000. 3,000 into, what is the rate of interest under GST? 18% into, what is the number of days? 5 days into 5 by 365. How much? 7 point. So round off to 7. Ignore that fraction. So always tax, interest, etc. to be rounded off to nearest 1 rupee. So 7.3 something. So rounded off to 1 rupee and late fee will be 1,000 rupees. Understood? With this we completed TDS and TCS. Now Come back to that third chapter. One page we have not discussed, which is connected to this discussion. Please see that. Page number 39. Page number 39. Important points. See the first point, page number 39. When e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST on above services, they are not required to deduct TCS. I told you. Why? Just now we completed the discussion. Section 95 and section 52 are mutually exclusive. So when 95 is there, 52 will not come. When 52 is there, 95 will not come. Then only in case of notified services, e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST, correct? For notified services. In other cases, who will pay GST? Supplier shall pay GST and e-commerce operator shall pay GST on what? Commission. Next. Every e-commerce operator who is liable to pay GST and who is liable to deduct TCS is compulsorily required to get registered. Just now I told you, 2 e-commerce operators compulsorily required to get registered. Then what about supplier of goods through e-commerce operator? Please respond. Please respond. Supplier of goods through e-commerce operator. If they are not making intrastate supplies but making interstate supplies, compulsorily required to get registered. However, if they are making only intrastate supplies, then they are not required to compulsory register but should obtain a unique enrollment number. Every supplier of goods through ECO is compulsorily required to get registered. However, if they are making only intrastate supplies of goods, then they should register as and when aggregate turnover exceed threshold limit. What about notified services or other than notified service? What about service provider through e-commerce operator? They need to register when? We already discussed that chart. It is just the connecting point. So they need to register only when aggregate turnover exceeds threshold limit. There is no compulsory registration for them. Okay. Then, so whenever e-commerce operator is liable to pay GST, that is HATE, housekeeping service, etc., they need to compulsorily register. Am I right, Pa? Where they will register, sir? If they have a physical place of business in India, they will register. What if they don't have a physical place of business? Check whether they have a representative. Example, Ola is required to pay GST under 95. Agreed. Because they are providing transportation service. Whether Ola is having physical place of business in India? Yes. So they will register. What if it is Uber? Uber is also required to pay GST under 95. Yes. But Uber is not located in India. It is located outside India. Then what we need to see? Check whether they have a representative office in India. Yes, they have a representative office in India. So that representative office will register and will pay GST. Is it clear? What if they neither have physical place nor they have a representative office in India? Then in that case, what they need to do? Read that. Read that and tell me what they should do. What they should do? Shall appoint, underline that, highlight that, shall appoint a representative. When they don't have a physical presence or they don't have a representative, they shall appoint a representative in India and that representative shall register and pay GST. Is that clear? So that is about this. Then look into this circular on restaurant services through e-commerce operator. This is an area which is actually very, very important because they have not asked a question in this and there is a possibility of asking a question because this circular they have given last year but they have not asked any question on this circular so far. It's an amendment which is not tested in exam yet. So there is a high possibility of asking questions on this. Please listen. First, what is the rate of GST applicable on restaurants? 5% without ITC. Means what? They cannot take ITC on. What is their inward supply? Commodities, ingredients they purchase na, on that they can't take ITC. So lot of ingredients they purchase na, rice, dal, then chili powder, turmeric powder, everything they cannot take ITC. So what is the rate of GST? 5% without ITC. So can they avail ITC on inward supply or they cannot avail ITC on inward supply? cannot avail ITC on inward supply. Understood the second point? Connected to first point because it is without ITC. Third point. Now, in case that restaurant, for example, yesterday our friend showed me one invoice. He purchased something from Kakda, Ramprasad, like that one restaurant. And that restaurant sold food through Swiggy or Zomato. He received one invoice. Now, on that invoice, who will pay GST? That Kakda restaurant will pay or the Zomato will pay? Zomato will pay. How much Zomato will pay? 5%. If Kakda is paying 5%, that restaurant is paying 5%, Zomato also will pay the 5% only. Can Zomato take ITC on their inward supplies? Zomato will have some inward supplies, app services or other services and all they are receiving na. On that can they take ITC? Yes. The restriction is only to the restaurant. Even though e-commerce operator pay 5%, now e-commerce operator will purchase some things na for their business. What services they will receive? Marketing services they will receive, and they will receive advertising services, and they will be receiving technology services for development app. All these things can they take ITC? Yes. See the third point. E-commerce operator can avail ITC on its inward supplies even though they pay GST on restaurant service at 5%. Then GST payable by e-commerce operator at 5% only using electronic cash ledger but not credit ledger. Why like that? Because if restaurant pay GST, can they use credit ledger? Restaurant, if pay 5%, can they use input tax credit? No, because they don't have input tax credit, correct? Then if Zomato pays also, they cannot use ITC, they have to pay by cash. Then what they can do with the ITC? What they can do with the ITC? They will have other transactions. What is that other transactions? If you observe, every e-commerce operator who is supplying food started other business. What is the other business? Swiggy started Instamart. Zomato started Blinkit. You understood? And they are supplying other things also. On that, they have to pay GST na. For that, they can use this ITC. Not for restaurant service ka 5% GST. Got it or not? Read that. GST payable by ECO at 5% only using cash ledger but not credit ledger. E-commerce operator shall also pay GST on delivery charges. They are putting na delivery charges 30 rupees, 40 rupees. Platform fee, correct? 3 rupees, 5 rupees, like that platform fee they are putting. And advertisement charges. Advertisement, the moment you open an app, you will see no sponsored, banner and all. And sometimes they will tempt us. I am yummy, won't you eat me? Like that and all, it will send a message. You understood? I mean, one restaurant, to promote one restaurant, it will send a message like that. All these are advertising services, okay? And that they need to pay 18%. E-commerce operators shall also pay GST on delivery charges, platform fee and advertising charges at 18%. Can they utilize the ITC for payment of this? Yes. Yeah, they can take ITC. 5% they cannot use that ITC, but that 18% they pay na other services. Definitely for that they can use. They can utilize ITC availed for payment of this GST liability. Got it? Then e-commerce operator, if supplies goods along with restaurant service through their platform, they shall issue separate invoices. Supply goods along with restaurant service. That is, when you buy from Swiggy food as well as commodities. Commodities also you can buy using Instamart, but it will never be one bill. So that's why if you open the app itself, there are two tabs. For food, separate tab is there. For Instamart, separate tab is there. If you buy food, separate invoice. If you buy anything through Instamart, separate invoice. Why they maintain separate billing? Because on food, they need to pay GST. But on Instamart, they will not pay GST. Supplier will pay GST. They pay GST only on commission. So they need to distinguish that. That's why Zomato, needless to say, they created a separate app itself. That is Blinkit, like that. Separate thing they have created. But Swiggy is a classic example where they maintain separate billing. Why separate billing? Mainly because their liability will differ. But because of the separate billing, there is a practical challenge also. One restaurant, immediately next to restaurant, one provision store is there. From restaurant also, provision store also you are ordering. Both are in the same location, but two delivery people will come. One for bringing restaurant food, another for bringing that provision store goods. You understood? And because of which 2 times we need to pay delivery charges. Actually, the delivery executive who is buying from restaurant can also take from the provision store. He can deliver, but even then the bill will be separate, because of which 2 times delivery charges we will be paying. Is it clear? That is a practical challenge here. So mainly because liability will differ. E-commerce operator, if supplies goods along with restaurant service through their platform, they shall issue separate invoices. Got it? So quickly read it once for yourself. Just read it once for yourself. நடுவில் போகிறதுக்கு ஏன்டா கிளாஸுக்கு வரீங்க? See, I am doing it for free only, pa. I am not charging anything from you. Even for that booklet also I gave it for free. You know what is required for you? Sit and attend the class. That also if you are not able to attend, then many times I felt like, why will students fail? Many times I got this doubt. Why will students fail in exam? Everyone is putting hard work. Everyone is studying. Why will they fail? Then many times I got the answers when I am taking class itself. Because see, when you don't have the interest, when you are living in the middle itself, which means what? You are not able to sit in a class where you are not spending money also, then that shows your dedication. Only the dedicated person will fall till the end and they will travel till the success. Remaining people and all in the midway itself, they will go. You understood? It's CA exam, pass percentage and all don't see. There are non-serious idiots. These non-serious idiots, what they do, just like that they will come into the course and they are writing. Otherwise, seeing them, you don't get disappointed. Really a hard-working person, if a dedicated person is there, if not in one attempt, another attempt they will clear. Another attempt they will clear. I have observed them. Your background is of no use. Whether you are from big school, small school, CBSE, state board, school toppers also failed in CA exam. And those who failed in school also have completed CA exam in first attempt. You understood? So to complete CA exams, you need a kind of dedication. That dedication and perseverance, purmai. So you need that. Only when you have that perseverance and the dedication, definitely success is possible. Definitely it is possible. Because, I have seen that success in my life, and so I can say, because I am from an orphanage and I don't have any good background in my education. I am from an orphanage, and thereafter I did not have the command over English also. I don't know how to speak English also. Today I am taking entire class in English, and so today I have everything. I did not have anything to everything only because of my dedication and perseverance. Possible. Why it is not possible? So everyone can be successful, but how much dedication you have and what is the priority that you are giving? Your priorities will change your life. To what priority I am giving? Am I giving priority to my subject? Yes, definitely it is possible to achieve. Why can't? But my priority is something else. When my priority is something else, you will achieve in that, but you will not achieve in this. Are you getting this? Change your priorities. What is important in your life, you decide. Definitely success will come. Every person on this earth, I believe that they will get a success. But to what extent they put the hard work and they are determined, they will get. So my advice to you is that daily morning when you get up with a positive thought. Today, I should definitely read something, and that should be towards achieving the success in my exam. Only when you have that kind of attitude, you will become successful. If you feel like, okay, we will see later, procrastination, I am not able to sit for longer time, and what about personal life, education life? What is personal life for you, yaar? Till you complete CA, there is no personal life. Only education is required. Why personal life? Personal life, you know, when you need to talk. After completing CA, when you go for job, there you need to talk about work-life balance, etc. and all. Not during the time when you study. So, till the time when you studied 12th standard, you were perfect. Because someone was there above you to tell you what you should do, what you should not do, etc. The moment after 12, completely you lost. Why you lost? Because no one is there to tell you what to do, what not to do. Your parents also thought, okay, fine, you joined for CA course, you know what it is. Beyond a point of time, no one will be there to take your hand and walk along with you. That is something which is missing. That's the reason why there are a lot of failures. If someone slaps on your face and make you sit, idiot, sit and attend the classes, you will attend. Thereafter, because of that reason, you will definitely become successful. You understood or not? That part is missing here. If that part is there, everyone will be successful. You take that role. You take that role and you tell to your friends, when they are crossing that line, when they are enjoying their life, tell them that you should not do this. And because of your advice, if he becomes successful tomorrow, he will never forget you here. Are you understanding this? Fine. So I gave you this lecture for one reason. What is that? I requested 4 days for you to sit. That 4 days also you are unable to sit. Then you think about how much serious you are. Okay.